is. Thank you, Jasmine. Where I have the fortunate opportunity to lead academic advising efforts for our college for your students. Jasmine, can you go to the next slide? Thank you. So today, this evening, both myself and Dr. Michelle Igo, our Associate Dean for Undergraduate Academic Programs, will be talking to you all a little bit about our college, our services, about the BASC, which is the area that I lead, and just different opportunities for your students to get involved. We'll go into a Q&A session where we'll go over some frequently asked questions, but also give you all the opportunity for you to put any questions that you have in the chat. And we'll try and get through as many as we can, hopefully all of them, before we end our Zoom in an hour. So again, I am Ebony McLean, Assistant Dean of Undergraduate Advising, and I'm going to pass it off to our Associate Dean, Dr. Michelle Igo, to get us started.
Thank you, Ebony. Could I have the next slide? Okay, my name is Michelle Igo, and I'm a professor of microbiology and molecular genetics in the College of Biological Sciences, and I'm also the Associate Dean of Undergraduate Programs. And so what that means is that I oversee the undergraduate curriculum, and I also work with many of the faculty that are involved with the undergraduate curriculum. Be frank, all of our faculty work with the undergraduates. So what is the College of Biological Sciences? Well, we're unique in that there aren't many colleges of biological sciences across the country. In fact, there are only less than 5. And what that means is that we have a group of faculty. In fact, we have 124 faculty members in the college, all studying various aspects of biology. We have at least 15 National Academy members. And we have a variety of staff members, 175 and more, who are working in all different aspects of the college. This includes our researchers, our people who are working on staff projects. We've also got the people who are interacting with the students. We have a very robust and diverse community, and all the people are dedicated not only to high quality research, but also providing a great learning environment, both for your students and for the scientific community at UC Davis. We're composed of 5 different academic departments. And even though they are 5 distinct departments, there's a lot of cross-fertilization. In other words, the faculty work in various aspects of biology, but we tend to interact a lot. 5 departments are evolution and ecology. There's my department, microbiology and molecular genetics, molecular and cellular biology, neurophysiology and behavior, and plant biology. Next slide. So for a student, how do you decide what major to pick in CBS? Well, let's just first off start by saying that all CBS majors have a core curriculum. And this reflects the interdisciplinary nature of biology. There are just certain things that every biologist needs to know. You need to know chemistry. You need to know math. You need to know statistics. You need to know molecular biology and how life works. As a result of that, all of our students take courses in common. This has some major advantages. One is that the students can explore. Coming from most high schools, community colleges, students will come in with a certain idea of what biology is. But like I said, we have 124 faculty who are all working on a whole bunch of different aspects of biology. We've got nanobiologists. We have people working in bees. We've got people working on the brain. We have people who are working in plants. There are so many different areas of biology that people haven't even thought about yet. And so therefore, while students are on campus and deciding what to major in, we want them to explore. So we encourage students when they first get here to be open-minded. That core curriculum and that common knowledge that all students need to get helps students prepare widely but it also gives them that foundation so they can pretty much major in anything they want within the college and change without slowing down time to degree. It also allows them, if they're a pre-professional, pre-med, pre-vet, etc., they can major in anything in the college and still go on to med school. So a lot of times students will be given advice like at high school saying, you need to be a molecular biologist to go to med school or a neurobiologist. You can be a plant biologist. In fact, you can be a psychology major, a musician. The main thing is that you need to get your pre-med courses, your pre-professional courses. So therefore, when you're thinking about your major, you want to kind of reflect on what is it that appeals to you? And what do I mean by that? The CBS majors differ in how they ask questions. And maybe a better way of saying it is the way in which they ask questions. Do you think big picture or do you think small? Are you more interested in molecules, cells, organisms, or ecosystems? Do you like how things work? Or are you more interested in why things work the way they do? If you're reading the newspaper, or you're listening to things on the internet, what kind of research questions do you find interesting? All of these things can help you figure out what kind of major works for you. Next slide. And this is just giving you an overview of the 11 majors in CBS. And what I've done is broken them down into the different parts of life. So what I mean by that is if we start at the basic fundamentals, atoms and molecules are used to build cells. And cells can be either single-celled or multicellular structures. They come together to form organs and tissues like your heart. Tissues come together to form multicellular organisms. Organisms come together to form populations and communities. Then we get the ecosystem and the biosphere. All of those fields are interconnected. And that's what I'm talking about in the interdisciplinary nature of biology. And that's one of the powers of coming to a College of Biological Sciences like CBS. One click. So the first two of our majors, systems and synthetic biology and biochemistry and molecular biology, those really focus on atoms and molecules. So if you're the kind of person who really likes to get into the nitty-gritty about how a molecule works, how does a protein do what it does? These are the majors that you might want to explore. Next click. If you're interested in cells, cell biology is all life comes down to a cell. It's the smallest unit. And for example, I am in the Department of Molecular Biology and Medical Microbiology. And we work on single cells. Single cells, bacteria, interacting with hosts and how they cause disease is a really important problem. I like to work on the single cells and how they interact. I find that a fascinating question. So students who work in my lab, we work in molecular and medical microbiology. Next click. Then we have a whole bunch of majors that work on organs and organisms. This would be the plant biologist, the neurobiology, physiology and behavior, human biology, genetics, and genomics. And these are people, these departments focus on organs. Now they need to know about cell biology too, and they need to know about atoms, but they're more interested in how things work at an organismal level. How does the brain work? How does the neurosystem work? How does a plant get nutrients to the leaves, etc.? The next majors are evolution, ecology, and biodiversity, and the marine coastal sciences. They're interested in populations and communities and how the world works. A number of students in these majors are interested in climate change. And then the final is the biological sciences. Students in this major are more generalists. They want to study a little bit of everything, And this major is probably our most flexible major because it allows you to do things that allow you to couple it with other areas. So for example, students who are interested in scientific writing and other things might find this the most attractive major. Next slide. So how do you decide what major? Well, I've already told you that when you come to Davis, what we're asking you to do is to take the time to think about what you really like to do. Because students that are passionate about a topic are going to do better in it. So don't think that, oh, someone told you at one point that it's easier to get in med school if I'm a biochemistry major. If you hate chemistry, you're not going to do well in it, and that's not going to get you into med school. So what you want to do is think hard about what do you like to do? What's your eventual outcome? Where do you want to end up? And to realize that the right major for a student is the one that they will gladly spend time studying. At Davis and at a university, one of the things that you need to recognize is that for some students, high school is pretty easy and they didn't have to study as hard as they're going to have to at Davis. And one of the things to recognize is that we operate under something called the Carnegie Rule, which is for 1 hour, 1 unit, you're expected to work 2 to 3 hours outside class. And so that's a lot of time to be spending on something you don't like. So one of the advice we give all students is to take the time to find out something you're passionate about, because then if you like what you're studying, you'll do it. And I've got the quote on the side. Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive and then go do it, because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Next slide. So you've figured out a major, or at least a major for the first quarter. And now how do we help you succeed? It is our goal to help the students get through the first quarter, in fact, stay on time to degree and make it through as quickly as you can, and have an enjoyable time doing it. And we have a number of different ways to do that. One is we have a peer-to-peer mentoring program, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. We have a special seminar, which I'm going to encourage you all to sign up for in the fall. It's called the BioLaunch Seminar. It's BIS 005 for freshmen and BIS 198. It's a 1-unit pass, no pass seminar. And basically, it's taught by Professor Bragg, who basically the course is about finding out all the resources on the Davis campus that can help you. And he's a great resource, and it's not a lot of work. It's 1 unit, and the resources come to you. And he does a lot of what we call just-in-time advising. So, for example, when you're signing up for classes for winter quarter, he brings in people to help you sign up. Or when it's time to do things like, where's the tutoring center, etc. So I'd encourage you to sign up for that. It's an extra unit. And then finally, Ebony is going to be talking to you a lot about the Biological Academic Success Center. Next slide. So you should be getting a letter, if you have not already, from Mentor Collective. And this is a program which is peer-to-peer mentoring. And what happens is that a continuing student in the College of Biological Sciences has volunteered to be a one-on-one peer mentor with an incoming student. And what you do is you fill out a survey saying something about your background and what you're looking for, etc. And the BioLaunch Mentor Collective pairs an incoming student with a current student based on your common interests. It's not required, but one of the advantages that students have, particularly before they arrive on campus, have told us is this is someone who can tell you things like, where can you find the best place to eat? Do the faculty really mean it when they say that if you don't show up for the first day on class, you'll be dropped from the class? I can't find this building. They can provide you a lot of resources, and that only another student can give you. And so I highly encourage you to just try it out. It's free. Oh, there's a note in the chat about the bio-launch seminars. And so for the peer-to-peer mentoring, if you have not gotten the bio-launch invitation yet, please let them know and let us know, and we can get that to you. Next slide. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ebony.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about the academic advising services available to your students. So as I mentioned previously, I am Ebony McLean. I serve as the Assistant Dean of Graduate Advising for the College of Biological Sciences as the leader of our Biology Academic Success Center. This is the one-stop shop for academic advising services in our college. So we have a centralized advising office, so your students only need to come to one place for all of their advising questions. This is actually a good screen to take a picture of because of the links that are at the top and the email address so that you know you can share that information with your students, or if we have students on here, you know where to go to. But that first one at the top, CBS undergrads at ucdavis.edu, that's our front desk ticket system. Pretty much any questions that your students have, they can direct to that email address, and our advisors will respond usually within 24 to 48 hours of the email, maybe a little longer if you email on the weekends. But that is your connection straight to our office so that you can ask any questions or get any support that you may need. The website there is the link to our Basque website so that you all can log on there to schedule any appointments with academic advisors, see our hours, get access to our express advising portal, review our majors and minors, see who all of our academic advisors are, read their profiles, check out what they're about, what their advising philosophies are, so you know who you'd like to meet with, and just know who your advisors are for the majors and minors that you or your students are enrolled in, and just a number of other really great resources for newly admitted first year and transfer students on our website. Next slide. All right, so meeting with a Basque advisor. We have two options typically for meeting with an advisor. When it comes to our staff advisors, our professional staff advisors, we have about a team of 20 now, about 19 or 20 of us in the Basque who are strictly focused on providing academic advising support services to your students. And you can meet with them through scheduled appointments, which are 30-minute sessions that you can sign up for. These typically book 2 to 3 weeks in advance, and they're often in high demand. So we encourage students to book early versus last minute. While we recognize that last minute questions do arise, for these sessions, it is really hard to get one last minute. I'll talk about other ways to talk to advisors at the last minute as well, though. But 2 to 3 weeks in advance, they book up very quickly, but we post new ones every night at midnight. New appointments are going up. So we encourage your students to check for them regularly. They are able Monday through Friday, both in person and Zoom, to meet with advisors to talk about anything from academic planning, changing their major, academic standing, should they find themselves in some academic difficulty with probation or subject to dismissal, our minors, and a plethora of other topics. We also offer virtual express advising 2 days a week. And our hours are listed on the website for this, but during these sessions, they're quick. So these are our last minute appointments usually. Like it's Tuesday morning, a question has come up, you know it's too late to book an appointment, it's usually okay. It does cover specific topics that usually can be handled quickly, but they are there for students to try and get in quickly with an advisor. The topics that appointments versus express advising cover are also listed on our website, so your students can check that out and be in the know of what's available and what's appropriate to talk about during these different sessions. And if you log into, or your student logs into an express advising session and an advisor says, we'll do what we can here, but this is actually a lengthy topic that we need to schedule an appointment for, they'll redirect in that kind of way. But again, the weekly availability, it's often Tuesday mornings and Wednesday afternoons where we do offer these quick 15-minute sessions for your students to get quick questions answered. This is usually about, we're in a registration window and I need a quick question answered about changing my schedule or dropping a class, taking something pass, no pass, getting a degree check to make sure you're on progress to graduating, minor questions about how to declare a minor, and research, just things that can happen quickly in an advising session. Next slide. In addition to our staff advisors, we also have about 13 faculty advisors that serve our students from each major. So each major has about 2 to 3 advisors who are faculty members that are associated specifically with their major. So an MPB faculty advisor, a biology faculty advisor, and so on. And these folks are here to answer more like research and career oriented questions. What can I do with this major after I finish my bachelor's degree? If I want to go to grad school, what are some good grad programs I could look into with this bachelor's degree? What kind of research or internship should I get involved in? And then ultimately, what kind of career trajectories can this degree take me? We also have currently 3 student advisors. These are our peer advisors. They are currently enrolled in a CBS major, and they are available throughout the week for in-person drop-ins. So again, day of, I didn't have time to schedule an appointment, but I know I can go into the office and see a student peer advisor in person and ask about specific topics as well. So options again are meeting with our staff advisors and appointments, meeting with our staff advisors through express advising, meeting with our faculty advisors for more career and research oriented questions, or meeting with our peer advisors. So we've tried to really build out a robust experience for students and robust opportunities for your students to connect with our advising services. Next slide. So, what student information is available to family members? This is a big question, and it's a hard question and a hard topic to digest sometimes. So, stick with me here for a second. As parents and caregivers, I too, as a mother, understand that we often want to know what's going on with our students' academics. Unfortunately, your students' information is protected through FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. It is a federal law that we are mandated to uphold, saying that we cannot give away student information, including to parents. And it is up to the student to tell us and sign a waiver saying, I am okay with my parent, caregiver, or whomever they deem appropriate to have access to their academic record. So an example, I'll have a parent call into the office. They know maybe their student has been struggling for a little bit and they want to talk about their student's academic standing or how they're progressing, what their grades look like. I cannot even say, oh, yes, your student is in XYZ major. I can't acknowledge that that student is even a student within our institution unless a FERPA waiver is on file. And sometimes I'll have parents or caregivers who get mad and they're like, what do you mean? I'm their parent. I pay for their education. 100% understand as a parent. Unfortunately, though, or fortunately for the students who are now young adults, it's up to them to grant permission for us to give information away or to have those conversations with you. So often how that conversation will go if you email us or call us is, what we need you to do is check in with your student and let them know that we're not able to talk to you about their academic record without a FERPA waiver on file. We also, on our end, will reach out to the student and say, hey, somebody contacted our office today, we'll give them the name and say, this is the information they were asking about, but we're not allowed to talk to them about your academic record without a FERPA waiver on file. Is this something that you're interested in signing and giving these folks access to your information? If the student wants to, we will email them where they can come in and pick up the form. They'll sign it, we'll scan it and make sure it's uploaded into their portal. Otherwise, we are not allowed and we're, you know, held by law and required by law to not give away access. And that includes parents, caregivers, or anybody who is not the student. That even goes within our institution as well. Not everybody in our institution has a right to your students' information. And if they are not FERPA certified and deemed appropriate, then I can't discuss a student's academic record with just anybody who works at our institution. So this is a big one that we get a lot of questions about, a lot of concern, and a lot of pushback. But we are held by law, legally required to uphold this, and we can get in a lot of trouble for violating this process. So I want to make sure folks know that once your student turns 18 or enters any post-secondary institution at any age, even our young ones, sometimes we have 12, 13, 14-year-old students who come to UC Davis, even them, by law, we cannot give away their academic information because of the FERPA policy and the federal law. Okay, next slide. So in addition to the academic advising services that we provide your students, we also partner with a number of campus partners to provide success programming to your students. Two of the big ones that we work with on a regular basis are success coaching and learning strategies partners and our academic assistance and tutoring center, also known as the AATC. These units are great for the success coaching and learning strategies in particular. They're self-assessment tools that help your students discover what their interests are. Are they aligned with the proper major or career track? They do workshops on time management, test taking skills, and one-on-one coaching. There's so many opportunities through them, as well as the tutoring center, who provides tutoring for most math, chemistry, biology, physics, stats, writing, you name it. They have tutoring spaces all across campus to support students. I myself have done work in the past in tutoring and success coaching, and I'm a very strong advocate of the power that lies there in helping students be successful. Typically, students who seek out tutoring in particular often have a letter grade higher than students who do not. So even students who maybe don't think they need tutoring, I highly encourage them to utilize resources like this. This is another good one to take a picture of because the websites for both of these centers are located underneath their names. So if you want to share that information with your student, definitely take a screenshot or picture of those for your student. All right, next slide. Two other ones that we partner with, I just saw it pop up in the chat, so I'll answer it. Yes, tutoring through the AATC is free. So two other campus partners that we connect with regularly are Health Professions Advising, also known as HPA on campus. These folks are great for any students who are interested in pursuing a health professions track. So interested in going to medical school, veterinary school, dental school, to be a physician assistant, a nurse, any of those great programs that are considered health professions. Our health professions advising team is there to help them with questions specifically related to the health profession. So they'll talk to them about admissions into different programs, some of the tests that you may need to take to prepare for those programs, admissions letters to those programs. And they offer different webinars and fairs throughout the year to help get students ready. They have their own team of advisors that strictly focus on health professions. I do want to say, because students confuse this often, you may be on a track to go into a health professions program, and you can seek out their advisors to get support in understanding the requirements to get into a health profession or a professional school, but they are not your academic advisor. If there are any questions or concerns about what it takes to graduate from UC Davis with your degree from UC Davis in biological sciences or MPB, um, biochemistry, you need to be talking to your Basque academic advisor. If you have questions about what's happening after, great. Go talk to HPA. But HPA does not sign off on the degree, does not certify the degree. So it is important to stay in touch with both units. But ultimately, the Basque academic advisors are going to be the ones that support your students through graduation. And we want to make sure you stay on track. And sometimes what you need to get into your professional school does not always align with what you need to graduate. So you want to make sure that you're speaking and working with both sets of advisors. And then the Undergraduate Research Center, the URC, is another great one to go find, like what research opportunities are out there, how to get involved with them. If you're doing research, they put on an annual research conference where your students can present their research and get experience in that way. So that is another really great resource to get students involved in some of those co-curricular activities that will ultimately help pad their experience and resumes for what they plan to do after graduation. Next slide. So just to share some important upcoming dates, we just got through pass one for our transfer students. Hopefully, if we have any transfer students or transfer student parents, caregivers on the call, hopefully your students did get through their registration for pass one on August 12th and 13th. So just this week. And then yesterday started open registration for all of our new students. So our first year students have already registered. Our transfer students went this week. Now everyone has a second chance. If they didn't register or they didn't get the class that they wanted, one more opportunity here to go through open registration before pass two, which opens up to all UC Davis students, new and continuing students. So August 14th to the 18th, this week, our students, our incoming students have one last chance to grab classes. Then on the 19th through the 30th starts pass two, where the last bit of classes that are available will all students have an opportunity to grab them. And then one more open registration window happens from August 31st to September 14th, and right before school starts, and schedule adjustments can begin for all students on September 18th. Our students will be able to continue making changes to their schedule, but at that point, they need to be aware of some of the drop and add deadlines, and they can connect with academic advisors about questions related to that. Next slide. Some other important dates that we have coming up are your Students Orientation Week. So starting on Wednesday, September 18th, we will have orientation programming for our transfer students, where on Wednesday from 3:30 to 5, your transfer students will be able to meet with our Basque advisors and our faculty advisors to learn more about major specific requirements and just a little bit more information about the college, getting to know the faculty, research opportunities, and things like that. And then on Friday, September 20th at 12:30 to 2, both our first year and transfer students will be able to attend our college welcome event that we'll have located outside of our college buildings. Friday afternoon, evening time, our first year students will be able to go through the same or similar major programming with our Basque advisors and our faculty advisors. And then on Tuesday, the day before classes officially start, we will have all day express advising. This is One last opportunity before classes start for any of our newly admitted students to log into our Express Advising portal and ask schedule questions, get any concerns answered, and connect with an academic advisor before we kick off the fall 2024 quarter. Next slide. And there'll be other orientation week events going on too. Your students can learn about those through the orientation website, and they should also receive an email with the detailed schedule of orientation events that are happening outside of the college. And with that, it brings us to our frequently asked questions that I will hand over to our BASC advisor, who advises for a number of our majors in our college, Yasmin Jefferson.
Hi, everyone. We have come to the section for frequently asked questions. Next slide. So some of you have already asked in the chat and in the Q&A, what research and internship opportunities exist, and what is the experience like for CBS students? Let's hear from our peer advisors.
Hello, prospective Aggies. My name is Brennan Silva. I'm a fourth-year biological sciences major and an undergraduate researcher for the Harvard Lab in the plant department. I've been doing research since the spring quarter of my freshman year, so going on 3 years now, and it's been a really great experience. I've been able to get both like wet lab and fieldwork experience. Typically, I do a lot of wet lab, mainly making media, running gels, genotyping, some PCR. But this past summer, I was able to get some fieldwork experience with the flowering time experiment in the sunflower fields in Davis, and that was really cool. As a freshman, I knew I wanted to gain some research experience as an undergrad, but I didn't really know what I wanted to study. I just knew I wanted the experience for postgrad or whatever I decided to do after my undergrad. So I met with, so what I did in order to figure out what I kind of really wanted to study is I would go to a lot of my TA's office hours and just kind of ask them, you know, what kind of research they were doing and how they chose their research focus. Is actually by going through these office hours is how I was able to find my current research position. My Biz2C TA remembered that I was really interested in her research in sunflower circadian clocks and that I was interested in doing research as an undergrad. So once her lab was looking for applicants, she let me know that the application was open, and I got it. I always recommend to freshmen to get to know their TAs and professors. One, because it's great for the course, but it's also can help lead you to a lot of great opportunities because either your professor and TAs are looking for undergrads, or they know people who are. So, you know, if you express an interest in research and the type of work they do, it'll help you kind of network and help them help you. But other than getting to know your professors and TAs, if you're looking for research, I definitely recommend checking out the Undergraduate Research Center at UC Davis. They have a lot of great resources and tips on how to find professors, how to approach professors for a position in their lab, and just a bunch of other great resources. I'd also check Handshake. Sometimes labs will post research or internship positions on Handshake, so that's another great resource.
Okay, so what career opportunities can a CBS major expect, and how should a student prepare? I don't think, do we have a video for that one, or is that Michelle's question?
That'd be a great question for Michelle.
Okay.
Well, there are lots of career opportunities for students. And like I was saying at the beginning, our students are generally prepared to do problem solving. We do a lot of work in getting students to get the basics down so that they've got general broad training in most of the techniques in modern biological sciences. And in addition, depending on as they get into their senior year, they will be able to begin to get into experiences in their labs. For example, there's a lot of hands-on experience, like in microbiology. They might specialize in like water treatment or understanding how microbes work, etc. So depending on the major, they'll get more and more training. The other is that, as Jasmine was saying, there's lots of opportunities to do internships or get research experience. Research experience is up to the student. And what I mean by that, there's lots of opportunities available if the student's willing to travel. A lot of times students will say they have trouble finding a lab, but if you're willing, like, to go to the med school or other places around and travel a bit, there's lots of opportunities around. In addition, there's also opportunities associated with the internship and career center.
Thank you, Michelle. Where can students find resources to learn about degree requirements and planning courses? First and foremost, there is a catalog that we release a new version of every year. You should always tell your students, your kids, that they have a catalog at all hours, 24/7, that they can always utilize online. If they just want to Google UC Davis catalog, that is available to show them every single class that they need specifically for their degree. Second, outside of that 24-hour period in the catalog, you can always meet with your academic advisor. Come to us at BASC. We will help you understand what your degree requirements are, what GEs you have left, how many units you have, how many upper division units they need. All of that stuff will be explained to them in an academic advising appointment with a BASC academic advisor. We do have mandatory advising that will come up for first year students, and they will have a chance to complete that in various ways. And after they complete that requirement, if they need to come back for a one-on-one appointment, that is very possible. But first and foremost, we do have an asynchronous version of our mandatory advising, which is a Canvas module for students to complete on their own. So it's highly recommended that they utilize their catalog, they utilize their academic advisors, and we are available to them. In essence, students will email us. They'll come to express advising, 30-minute appointments. We're available in a multitude of ways, and we will be very helpful to them trying to get to the degree as efficient as possible.
And
I
I'd like
put
to
links in the
add,
chat, real quick. I put links in the chat for the catalog and our major and minor page, which has some of our academic
Yes.
plans on it.
right. And the other thing the BASC is very good about doing is laying out 4-year plans for students that they can work with. One of the things that's very important is that their classes have prerequisites. So if you want to graduate in a timely manner, it's important to take the courses that have prereqs before the courses that require them. In addition, we have a number of courses that are taught through study abroad. So if your student is interested in taking like introductory biology, like in Ireland, or biochemistry in Japan, there's a lot of opportunities to take courses that are required for the degree abroad, and your BASC advisor can help the students work so that it doesn't slow them down on the time to degree. So with planning, the student can get in their degree requirements and their pre-professional requirements and their internships and do study abroad. So it's all about planning, and the BASC is very good at working with students. They just have to go in and ask them.
How easy is it to change majors within the College of Biological Sciences, and what does that process look like? It's not difficult at all to change your major. You do have to wait until at least your second quarter. You have to be in good academic standing, have at least a 2.0 GPA in your major courses, and have taken at least 1 to 2 major classes with a C grade or higher in order to change your major within CBS. So it's not difficult at all. So if you have your student asking you now or telling you now, I picked this major, but I think I want to switch over to XYZ, just let them know that they have to wait until at least winter of 2025 to change their major, and they have to be in good academic standing to do so.
And they will submit a change of major form through their OASIS portal. So it's a petition that they have to activate within their Oasis portal to do a change of major and potentially meet with an academic advisor.
Okay, what advice do you have for new students and their family members to support a smooth transition for all? I would say, in my opinion, and I'll let Michelle and Ebony speak after me, but in my opinion, the biggest factor is going to be communication with with the student, your child, as opposed to reaching out to us. It'd be great for you all to be a team and work together, revolving around their academics and their academic standing, because even though you can have a FERPA release and ask for that permission to have access, it's still best to just have open communication with your child and understand what's going on with them academically, because they are going to be the best person to ask and understand what's going on.
I'll also say that many students potentially underestimate what the workload is going to be, how fast a quarter goes by, and time management is often a struggle. Coming in as even whether it's a transfer student or a first year student, especially if you're transitioning from a semester system, coming into a quarter, those 10 weeks zoom by. A couple weeks in, you're taking quizzes or midterms, and the next thing you know, you blink, you're registering for your winter quarter, and then you blink and it's done. So like it's fast paced, and that can be intimidating to some students. It can be overwhelming to some students. But if you are utilizing your resources like the success workshops, going to the time management, keeping a calendar, um, utilizing the tutoring, talking to your professor, joining study groups, and really leaning into the support that is available, it will make that transition a lot better, smoother. And I believe that students who lean into those efforts in the quarter usually in a good academic standing and feeling good for the winter quarter. Also, I would say the biz classes that Michelle mentioned, so the biz 005 and the biz 198 are there also to help with the transition and to help students get acclimated to the university. And they are great 1 unit courses graded on a pass, no pass basis. I don't know how you don't pass that class. It's built to help you pass and ensure that you pass, but ultimately it's built there to help your students transition, to help you all transition. So registering, adding that 1 unit can make a world of difference for students as well.
And as someone who teaches one of the courses that is required for freshmen, I teach BIS 2A, and I also taught at Mike 102, which is a class taken by incoming transfer students. And the major issue for a lot of students for fall quarter is the transition from a semester system to a quarter system. And I can't emphasize that enough. Students are coming in from smaller groups. BIS 2A and some of our introductory courses have 500 students in them. The first exam is at the end of week 3. And so in a semester system, students are still trying to decide what classes they're taking in week 2, and they aren't getting set. They aren't thinking about, oh my God, I'm getting behind. And so a lot of students end up in the fall quarter not passing their first exam because they just haven't gotten the system together yet. So I would encourage students, encourage you and your students to think about making it to UC Davis your first quarter. One of your classes is going to be the transition. So you can think about it that way. Go light. They're going to have a new community, a new place to figure out how to get around, where to eat, everything like that. And a new high pressure situation where they're going to be trying to figure out where the tutoring center is or where exams are or everything like that. And take it easy in the fall. You can always pick up extra later, but I see a lot of really good students who stumble in that first 3 weeks, and then they're playing a catch-up game for the rest of the quarter. And it's really bad for their morale, particularly for students who are used to doing straight A work or straight AB work, and then all of a sudden they don't do well, and they feel like failures, and they're not. They're just had a bad week. And unfortunately, in the quarter system, a bad week can have consequences. So, being there for them, so for the transition is, if they do bad on the first exam, life isn't over at that point, but a lot of them get very upset. And we can't emphasize enough that it's only one exam.
Next slide. All right, so we've been answering questions in the chat and Q&A as they have gone. If there are any additional questions, feel free to start throwing those in the chat. We'll give you an opportunity just to go through some of them that I've been seeing out loud to let you know that you don't need a specific device or anything like that. So no special Macs or specific PCs are needed. In particular, go with whatever you can afford or like to use or prefer to use. Nothing in particular is needed. Yasmin has put in links for like undergraduate research center. In addition to finding research opportunities there, it's going to be a good idea to get to know faculty members, to be familiar with the research opportunities that they have going on in their labs. This recording will be made available through the orientation website afterwards. So we're recording, we will email them and they will post it. Orientation folks will post it to the website for family members to access. I don't know when move-in day. Jasmine, if you know when move-in day is, can you put that in the chat? Wi-Fi is available throughout campus and in classes. All of the buildings on campus, including like the cafeteria and like the union, have access to Wi-Fi. Yasmin is answering questions about financial aid, but any financial aid questions, grant dispersals, that type of stuff needs to go through the financial aid office. They will provide that information for your student in particular. Would you recommend adding the seminar course in the fall or winter? The fall. I recommend it for the fall. It's really meant to help that first quarter. So it's one unit and extremely easy. There's not like this homework that's associated with it at this astronomical level. It's like a smooth transition course. So definitely add it in the fall. Is there a locked drawer in the dorm for important belongings? I don't know the answer to that. That would be a residential hall question. Jasmine says move-in days have not been published, but will be added to the website that she put in the chat. Information sessions for students and family before school starts in September. Not that I am aware of. I think this is the last set of informationals that are happening before orientation week. We've been doing Aggie advising and webinars throughout the summer, both us and orientation. So I think these family webinars are the last set until your students come to orientation week, where we will do an information session for them during that week. Somebody posted move-in dates. Thank you. Difference between Biz 2A and 2B. Are all students required to take 2A first quarter? Michelle, if you want to tell them the difference between the classes, like topic-wise, but we do encourage first quarter students to start with Biz 2B, and Michelle can go into that
Right.
as well.
So basically, the difference is that Biz 2A is molecules to cells, and we encourage students to have a background in chemistry before they take that. And what we found is that a lot of students do better by starting in B. A is not a prereq for B. So we encourage students to start with B, unless you have a very strong high school chemistry background or have already completed chemistry. B is beginning with evolution ecology. So you can think about it as it's starting big. And talking about populations and things of that sort. So students can start in either place. There are a number of majors on campus, like engineering, that only take A, but in CBS, our students take all three of them. And we're encouraging students to take B first and get started on their chemistry series and their math series as well.
It looks like Yasmin is also answering it. The difference between Biz 2 and Biz 005. Biz 005 is the transition course. It's
Oh,
not really biology related. It's just how to help you acclimate to the college and campus, where Biz 2 is your introductory biology
I'm
series.
sorry.
No,
Yeah.
no, they asked for both 2A, 2B, and then a new question about
Okay.
005.
Yeah, so BIS 005, for example, one of the questions will be they'll have faculty come in and talk to the students about the different majors. There will be someone will come in and talk about how to get into research. The BASC will come in right before signing up for winter classes and say, it's been a long time since you signed up for classes and you probably forgot everything you were taught during the summer. Let's go back over how to sign up for classes. Right after the first midterms, the tutoring center will come in and say, are you interested in tutoring services now? So it's very much about helping students with topics that are really relevant that they probably got over the summer during orientation, but there's so much information that they're hit with during Aggie orientation and everything like that. What BIS 05 just slows it down, and they have small assignments, but we do everything possible to give them a pass. It's a 1-unit pass, and if you show up and you do the small assignments that don't take much time, and once again, it's a great place to talk to faculty because they're going to be coming in and trying to talk about research and other kinds of things. And it's the same for transfer students. It's BIS 198.
Yes, Biz 198. Somebody has asked, and I know we're at 6 o'clock, so if people need to log off, feel free to do so. Again, this is being recorded, so we'll try and answer these last questions and post this afterwards. But are you able to take Biz 2A during the summer as a prep course for Biz 2B? It's something that can be done. Do we recommend it? I think that's up to you and your how you feel comfortable. Summer courses are 5 weeks long though, instead of 10. So, and now it's too late. So just throw that out for this summer because summer session 1 has already passed and we're in summer session 2. I don't think Biz 2A is offered during special summer sessions. So,
And they're really not linked
yeah.
at the current time. Um, so there's no real we see no advantage. One of the reasons the courses aren't linked is we saw no advantage to students taking BIS 2A before BIS 2B. So I would not say that that's an advantage. The main thing is students who are going into, if your student is taking Chem 2A in the fall, students do find that reviewing some chemistry before hitting Chemistry 2A is helpful during the summer on their own.
Or somebody had asked, Yasmin has answered it. Is Biz 2A requirement for the BMB major, the biochemistry major? It's required for all of the majors in the College of
All
Bio.
majors.
And about the question about physics and will there be a presentation? Letters in Science is doing a presentation like this currently, and their webinar will be available online just like ours will be through the orientation folks. If you're looking for major specific stuff, though, like what Yasmin put in about contacting the physics department, that will be best to ask any questions that you want to know about the physics major. The presentation LNS is doing, Letters in Science is doing, is very broad and general about their college. Okay, that looks like all of the open questions that have been put in the Q&A and the chat. We would like to thank you all for joining us this evening. If you're a student, we wish you the best of luck. If you're a parent caregiver, we wish your students the best of luck this fall quarter. Please be sure to have your students reach out to your BASC advisors with any questions that they may have. Post the link where the recording will be available. That information is going to be sent out by the orientation team. But I believe, go ahead, Michelle.
And I'd also encourage you to tell your students to sign up for the Mentor Collective and get a CBS mentor. There's no one better to help the students find out about the ins and outs of what it means to be an undergraduate at in CBS than another CBS student. And they can ask all these questions before they arrive on campus. So if you have not yet gotten that link, I put in the chat, and you can find it on the website, a link, and you can get that. Because our students who have taken advantage of this really find it useful, because they don't believe faculty can tell them as many times as we want, but another student telling them that, yeah, a quarter system really sneaks up on you, does more than I can ever tell them.
For sure. And encourage your students to check their UC Davis emails. Now that we are transitioning into the quarter, that will be our primary means of communicating with them and the only way we're supposed to communicate with them. So if they're still using personal emails, it's time to transition over to their UC Davis email, where a lot of this information is sent by our BASC Associate Director, Jasmine Campos. She sends communications out to students regularly with important links and information about the seminar classes and Mentor Collective. So definitely encourage your students to keep an eye on all of their UC Davis official communication lines. Okay. Again, thank you all for joining us this evening. We won't take up any more of your time. Best of luck this fall quarter.